Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever video for DecodeChess. My name is Grandmaster Benjamin Bok and I'm about to show you how DecodeChess works and how you can use it to analyze your own games. So what you can do is you can click on import and then let's say you use paste PGN and you can just copy and paste the PGN of a game that you played recently. Okay, let's click on open and let's go to the very beginning. So what you want to do is you want to click decode game. It'll show you a lot of human explanations instead of just the engine explanations. Here you will see a graph and that'll give you a good sense of where things, because this was a game I played with black, it'll show you a good sense of where things went wrong for white. Anyway, let's jump right in and have a look at the game. So I played d4. I'll not spend too much time at the beginning of the game because this is all opening theory. So I played the move knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, b6. This is called the Queen's Indian, a3, and bishop b7. So this game is a game I played at the World Cup in Sochi, Russia, in the first round, in the first tiebreaker game. So I was playing with the black pieces. So we can actually also flip the board, have a look at it from my perspective. So knight c3, I played d5. Once again, this is all theory. But as you can see on the right hand side, it will show you why c takes d5 is a good move. So it says prevents taking the white pawn on c4, turns play d takes e6 and captures the black pawn. So the more filled this blue box is, the more relevant the explanation is. So c takes d5, I recapture, goes queen c2. So here, bishop g5, it's not as relevant, so goes queen c2, and I take the knight. This is all theory, and I play c5. Okay, so e4 is a good move because it makes way for the bishop through e2. Okay, all makes sense. So I go knight at d7, he goes bishop d3. It's a good move because it allows castling. And here queen c7 is a good move, and it does a good job explaining this. So let's have a look. So guards f4, we can click on the plus sign here where it will explain. So white cannot play bishop f4, which is a move white wants to make because I can obviously capture it. Enables queen c3, let's have a look. So this is actually very important. White cannot play the move queen e2 because now I can take, and after c takes d4 I have queen c3, after which I win the rook because I give a check and I can take the rook on a1. And x-rays the white queen on c2. So after castles I want to take and then trade the queens. So let's go back. So this is actually what happened. My opponent castled and I took the pawn and traded the queens. So we get an endgame here. So I continue with bishop e7, just continuing development. It's a good move because it supports playing castles. My opponent plays bishop e2, knight castles. It's good because bishop a4 might have been an annoying pin. So rook fe1. And I play rook ac8. It's a good move because I hit the bishop on c2. Goes bishop d3. It's good because it escapes the capture. And I play rook fd8. He plays rook 81. Okay, and here I play a6, which is a good move because it controls b5. I often want to play b5, and white cannot take, obviously, because I can just recapture. So my opponent played the move knight at d2. And so it feels like this position is approximately equal, right? Both sides have developed their pieces. White has a center. But let's click on deep decode, which is one of the most important features of DecodeChess. And that will dig deeper in the position. Okay, so here it'll show you a lot of arrows, so it'll show you what you have to pay attention to. So b5 is beneficial because it vacates base b6 and enables knight b6. It also guards c4, so white can never play knight c4 because I can capture it, which is also important. And so let's see. So after knight b3 I can play knight b6 because that square is freed up. And yeah, it shows it prevents knight c4 and bishop c4. But once again, these two explanations are the most relevant because the box is very blue. Let's click on how to find the best move, because this is very important, right? If you're playing a game or you're analyzing your game, you're wondering, how can I find the best move? So the idea is that black wants to play knight c5 and go knight a4. Problem is that white goes bishop c2, and therefore I cannot play knight a4 anymore. Playing b5 before knight c5 solves the problem, because now I can go knight b6 and knight a4. Okay, so if you click on pay attention to, it will show you a lot of things that you have to look at in the position. But the pawn on a3 is threatened. This is an important point, which is why moving the knight to a4 is a good idea, because it will hit the bishop, and the bishop is guarding this pawn, so black will get more pressure towards this pawn. So let's continue. I played pawn to b5, opponent played knight to b3, and played knight to b6, which is good because it guards a4, threatens to play knight a4. And so for example, my idea is to go here, hit the bishop. The bishop will then have to choose. If it goes here, then I can hit the pawn on a3. But if he goes to c1, then I can go knight to c3, or rook to c3, or bishop f6. So lots of ways to increase the pressure. So my opponent played the move knight a5, go bishop a8. It's good because it escapes the capture by the white knight. He goes rook c1, and I'll play knight a4, hitting the bishop on c1. So rook takes c8 is good, because it threatens to play rook takes d8. I just recapture. I still hit the bishop on c1. And here he made a mistake. White should have played rook c1 to try to contest the open c file. After which black is still better, but it's not as clear. But instead of that, he played the move bishop c1. And I played rook c3, which was a move that was very good. So I hit the bishop on d3, also hitting the pawn on a3. So my opponent played bishop to b1, played bishop d8, and now we see that the knight on a5 is trapped. So it plays bishop d2. It's good because it hits the rook, and it supports the knight on a5. So here black would be in a pin. Of course, black is still winning if I just make another move. But bishop d2, bishop takes a5 is good because it captures the knight. So he takes on c3, it's good because it takes a rook. I recapture because it's good because I take the bishop. He plays bishop d3, and I play king to f8. Just bringing my king closer to the action. He plays rook to c1. I play king to e7, king f1, knight takes c4 because it's good because it captures the pawn. Rook c8 is played, and bishop d5 is good because it escapes the capture by the white rook. If we click on it, we will see white cannot play rook takes a8 because there's no bishop. So he went rook h8, and black's winning here. The rest of the game is not as relevant anymore. So play h6, saving my pawn, rook g8, g6, saving that pawn as well, rook h8, h5, just guarding the pawn, f3. So knight e6 is good because it guards the c8 square, escapes the capture. So let's see, my opponent played h4. I played bishop b6, which is good because it threatens the pawn on d4. And my opponent played rook h7. And here I played the move king f8, which is good because it threatens rook to g8. If I get another move, I can play king g8. And the rook is actually trapped. He would be forced to give up his bishop as well. But black is obviously winning here. So my opponent played a check. I played king g7. Because it's good, because it threatens to hit the rook, rook b8, but now I played the move bishop to c7, which is good because it threatens the rook on b8, escapes the capture by the white rook, and the rook is simply trapped. My bishop is hitting this square, guarding this square, this bishop is covering this square, and the knight is covering these two squares. My king is covering these three squares. So my opponent resigned, and once again, if we look at the graph, we see here that black already had a slightly better position after the queen trade, right? But things really started going south for white after he allowed my plan with b5 and knight to a4. So that's very clearly where things went wrong for white. I think DecodeChess does a great job of explaining that. Once again, I think it's a great product. Feel free to check it out. And yeah, thank all of you guys for watching. Hope you guys liked the analysis I did, And yeah, just make sure to check out more videos from DecodeChess. So see you guys in the next one.